Eric Martinson. And we also have Heidi Gilmore coming in, joining us, introducing you, Heidi, if you can hear us. As she is on vacation right now, but wanted to be part of the meeting tonight, so welcome.
Thank you.
All right, before we get going, the usual housekeeping rules here. So you can access the Finance Committee information with your local access channels, either Comcast Channel 6 or Verizon Channel 38. You can go online at millismedia.org or live streaming on YouTube. And last, you can go in person, like Select Board, School Committee, and even FinCom tonight. So all the meeting material that we have is available online on the FinCom page on the Millis website, so take a look at that. And just a final reminder for all of our guests as well as members, just to speak into the microphone about 4 inches away so that we can properly record it. So without any further ado, I believe we're going to get right into animal control. So Aaron, come on down. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So
Yeah.
bring us up to speed on the Article 11, animal violation fines.
Yes. So can you hear me all right?
Yeah, about 4 inches.
Yeah, get as close as you can.
Yeah, as close as you can.
Okay.
There you
Is
go.
that better?
Yep.
So currently our bylaws, the fees are not up to code with the state, so they can be more strict, but they can't be less strict. So state law, for the first offense should be $50, the second offense should be $100, and a third subsequent offense should be $300. Currently, our bylaws, the first offense is a $25 written warning, and then the second offense is $50, as well as the third offense is $50, and all subsequent offenses are $50. So I have this copy here, you're more than welcome to look at it if you like, just so you can see, but we need to just change the amounts so that we're up to code. You could make them more by all means if you so choose, but that's where we are.
Okay, so just a general question to starting off. So does this get indexed, or should this get indexed annually, or is this just every 3, 5, 10 years time to update the numbers to reflect what's in the
Right, time to update the numbers to be in code with the state law.
Okay, curveball. Have we lost any revenue because of our numbers being so low?
Yes and no. So obviously those that have been issued citations, they're paying less than what they should be paying.
Gotcha. All right, so a way to to fall in line then.
Right.
Okay,
It's pretty straightforward.
any other questions?
Pretty straightforward.
One question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When do you get your new truck?
Yeah.
So I just actually was checking the email today. He said October, November for the uplift, so I did just send him an email to ask him, you know, we still in that time frame and what's going on with it, so. Hopefully soon.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, just a quick question.
Sure.
How many fines do we issue?
It depends, so generally they're issued, you know, automatically for a bite. Off leash, you know, your first offense generally will give you like a written warning. Second offense, obviously more, but I mean, we're pretty good, so we don't issue too many, but I'd say maybe 10 citations for the year.
Any choice?
I do have a question about Oak Grove.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Oak Grove is tricky. It's been a constant problem. The problem is A, they're either doing it off hours when I'm not there, or B, they're on the trails. So for me to walk all the way into the trail, you know, they'll walk by me as I'm sitting there doing enforcement with the dog on the leash, but then they get in the trail and they take them off. Or some blatantly just don't care and just will do it and then they're issued a citation. So yeah, it's everywhere we face that issue, you know, even in Medway, we have the same thing on the trails.
This may sound a little, I don't know. Could a citizen say to another person who's got the dog off the leash and the dog is harassing other people? Can a citizen go up to a person and say, hey, you know, put your dog on a leash?
I don't recommend they do. We've had issues in the past there with some people.
That's what I was afraid of.
Yeah, so I prefer that you just call me. You know.
Okay.
All right,
You guys want a copy of this, just so you can see, or are you good?
I think I'm good.
I think
I think we're good, yeah.
Okay.
Mike, you have this articles.
Yep.
So he needs to understand, so if he needs anything, he'll reach out.
I think I can figure that one out.
Thanks,
All right, Aaron, thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming in tonight,
Thank
appreciate it. Next on the agenda is, talking about the community preservation open space, but I don't see Nate, so let's, fast forward.
Okay.
We're a little early.
Is there any questions I can possibly answer? Do my best, but I don't know how in depth you want to get me.
Why don't we pause, for now, and if he comes in, we'll give him a shot, and then we'll give you another shot after the fact. So that kind of moves us up on the timeline here quite a bit, but, this is, I believe, Article 6, the school building project, which is a big one, so why don't we dig our teeth into that, because I know that we have quite a few questions. Mike, come on down. My goal for tonight is to ask questions and also, make sure that we all have a thorough understanding. So that's what the goal is here.
We're all not gonna squeeze at that table.
Fair enough.
If I can make one point too before we start, just so people who are watching this understand that, we recently had a tri-board meeting in which there was a major presentation, from the building committee regarding the project. And, we've been kept apprised of the project all year long. So this isn't our case of first impression, talking about it. We have been discussing it all along.
And I have one thing before you go. I was with a bunch of new residents today, and they were under the impression that this was an override. So somehow it's got to be made clear that this is not an override.
Yeah, all right, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Well, I'm just, yeah.
So, all right, so with that, Craig, or whoever, Diane, you want to start? Whoever wants to start? Yeah, please.
I'd like to introduce the guy over there. I think you all know him, Craig Schultz.
You can speak into the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
You gotta be 4 inches away, unfortunately.
Our project manager, senior project manager, Emily Saracen from Vertex Engineering is here with us
Nice to meet you.
to answer some of the questions that we've got. I have a list of 3 different sets of questions. Yours, John. Brett, you sent us some questions, and Heidi Gilmore sent some questions as well, and we're prepared to kind of go down the line with those.
Perfect, why don't you continue?
Oh. Craig, do you want to pull a chair up here, or do you want to?
I can stand,
Okay. Works for
although
me.
I just now have to schedule ACL surgery apparently.
Okay, so
Don't blame
You'll be
us.
sitting in the future.
John, you asked if the article and ballot pass, and I want to make it clear that we need to pass town meeting, and then we need to pass at the ballot on December 8th.
Correct, and just to interject, so passing that town meeting is to appropriate the funds for the school building project. The ballot is to raise the taxes and pay for it. Is that true?
That is correct. It is an override. It's an override of Proposition 2.5. There's 2 types of overrides, a debt exclusion, which only lasts for the period that the project is being paid for, in this case, 28 years. And an operational override, which goes on in perpetuity. There's subtle differences, but they're both overrides. They're just different types, debt exclusion versus operational. And the first vote at town meeting is to appropriate the money that lets us spend the money. The second vote is the tax increase that gives us money to spend. Obviously, we can't spend it if we don't have it. So if the ballot doesn't pass, we don't go forward.
And one last note, so on November 10th during town meeting is the first vote, and then on December 8th is the ballot vote, so just about a month later.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have a question, Joyce?
So it is an override, but only for the duration of the project.
Right, I mean, it's technically a Proposition 2.5 override vote. It's just that they're both overrides, Joyce. They just are handled differently.
I
And
fibbed though.
yeah, oh, you didn't, you misspoke.
I misspoke,
Yeah, and you've learned something, so you won't
I
make that again.
have,
Now you have a chance to go back and
and
correct.
I shall.
But
All
I
right.
think they'll only run
All
for
right.
duration.
Okay, only to the duration.
So let me answer the rest of John's questions.
Yes, go ahead.
which is, what's the timeline? we would start, if this passes, we would start construction in the first quarter of 2027 and complete in the second quarter of 2029.
I'm sorry, which quarter in 2029?
Second quarter, first
Okay.
quarter 27,
Yeah,
second quarter 29. We'll be
okay.
Working on the new, oops, wrong view, but that's all right. This is the new wing, which is all the middle school.
Okay,
And this is what we'll do first. And then we will use the spot that isn't here right now on this picture because it will go away. We'll use that as swing space for the sections that we need to renovate. We'll move the students in there,
mhm.
do the renovations, and then move them back.
So, awesome. Let me just take a step back in terms of the timeline again, because I feel like we're talking about three different timelines. Calendar year timeline, an academic year timeline, and a fiscal year timeline.
Calendar.
Calendar year.
Yep.
Okay, so January to March of 2027, it would start.
Yep.
While school is in mid-session, mid-year. Okay, does that, answer your question, Pete?
Yes.
Okay.
And for the most part, we'll do this as Vertex likes to call it, a summer slammer. We'll be heading full steam ahead during the summers, correct?
Yep.
Say aye.
yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
So then why aren't you starting till a quarter in during the school year? Why wouldn't you start in the summer, or is that just?
I think it,
Go ahead.
yeah, it helps to,
I just like to-
You have to bring it to you.
it helps to have an enabling phase and kind of get started, and then we'll be able to hit the ground running that first summer instead of just starting to set stuff.
We also have to do, design development. We also have to do the construction documents.
Yeah.
Those aren't done. So we
Gotcha,
have to hire a general contractor, get approval for the method of construction, which is construction management at risk.
yeah,
Where the general contractor becomes one of the team, not an adversarial relationship.
and this would be going on between after the voting
Correct.
and Q1 of
It'll
twenty
take a
twenty-seven.
year to do the documents, because when we do them, the general contractor sits in with us and we all hammer away at the documents.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Awesome,
next question.
yeah, please do.
Craig's already answered part of it.
All right, well, it is a debt exclusion, which is an override. It'll run for 28 years, and then after 28 years, it stops, the bond's paid off. And the way it's figured, we're going to need $56.1 million of town money. The state's putting in 67.6. So the state's going to give us $67.6 million, and we have to spend $56.1 million, which is phenomenal. Getting that level of reimbursement over 50%, it's almost 54%. That's very, very significant. But the beauty of this is, unlike an operational override, where the more houses that come in, the more money we get, we're only going to ever need to collect $56.1 million. So as the town grows, which it is, we've grown 20% in the last 5 years. But as the town grows, that 56 million spread over more households. So the cost will come down over time as more households are built. And so that's how a debt exclusion works.
Quick question, so from a financing standpoint, when will all the variables be determined in terms of bonding it and going through that process?
FY 30 probably is when we get we have estimates now that we'll share right now,
Yeah,
but those are estimates. There's
Yeah.
interest rates. Right now, we're figuring a certain interest rate.
yeah,
Could go down. We're figuring a valuation of the town of $2.2 billion, which means somebody with deep pockets could buy every building in the town for $2.2 billion. But that's gone up 5% in the last 3 years. I'm sorry, 20% in the last 5 years. So that's increasing. And the more that increases, the lower the burden is on the people in town. So there's estimates. Right now, we're estimating that an average assessed value single family house, and the average assessed value for a single family house is $605,000. That would cost $913, I'll round up, $914 per household. And that's based on the current valuation of the town.
Yeah.
And people need to understand assessed value versus sales value. People's houses are gonna sell well in excess of that. My house is assessed well below the offers I've got. I'm not trying to sell, but I get phone calls. Been there for 30 years and people are enough from selling. Yeah. But the offers are well above the assessed value.
Yeah.
So there's not a direct correlation. So look at your assessed values, not your the fact you think you can sell your home for.
Quick question by Mike?
So in the period of time, before construction begins and during construction, prior to 2030, when you'll get the
Yeah.
final bonds, are these anticipation bonds or short-term bonds that you'll take out with, and their payment of interest only?
Yeah, it'll be borrowing bond anticipation notes. They're called BANs, bond anticipation notes. Interest on those, there might be some staggered increase to the tax rate as it goes up slightly. But the real hit will occur when we bond the whole building over.
Just to, Joe, go ahead, Heidi, you have a question?
Yeah, is the 67.6 million from the state, is that committed? Has MSBC voted on that and approved
We
it?
have not voted, but there were pre-meetings on that, and that's the number they're going to give us possibly by the end of this week, early next week, but we have no reason to doubt that that's the number they're gonna give us. But if they come, and that increased by $1 million, the amount they were giving us from the last meeting I had to this meeting. So that keeps going up. I think at some point we hit our theoretical cap. But I don't anticipate it falling, but we will refigure those numbers if they do, and we'll know by the end of this week, beginning of next week, what the final contracted number is. And once that number is known, it's not changeable.
So you're 95% there might be a slight change, but it's
98%.
98, even better. Okay, fair enough.
And Craig, can I, one
Go
other
ahead.
point, I think this was brought up when we had the tri-board meeting, that once the state commits that money, no matter what happens with the finances of the state, no matter who is the governor, no matter who is the legislature, that figure does not change.
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
It comes from 1% of the sales tax, or a penny off of every dollar of sales tax. That money is in hand today, and they've committed projects to use that money. It has no correlation to federal money, which we know is notoriously fickle right now.
Yep.
It has no correlation to grants from the states. This is a completely isolated, reserved funding source. And we know, once they sign the contract, and that's what we're entering into, if we build the school that we've designed, they will give us the money they promised.
Follow-up question, from an assessment standpoint. So we have the timeline now, Q1 27, Q2 2029, final bond say 2030. When would the taxes go into effect?
I'm saying FY 30, so that would be
July 1st?
July, yeah, probably, that's probable. I mean.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
But it's not like 2028, it's not 2029.
It's not next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Pete.
Does the MSBA participate in development of the construction documents and or do they sign off and approve them before they go out to bid?
Yes, they do, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole thing. We have to build the building that we committed to build and design the building that we said verbally in our education plan, but would like to.
So they'll review the documents at 60% and 100%, and then they'll give comments back. And then we address those comments, so they do review and approve them, as well as the commission agent.
I would also say that when we built Clyde Brown with MSBA funds, they had 2 or 3 people once a month at the construction meetings that we had every week. So they come, they look at everything, they ask questions, and then they look at what we're submitting for expenses.
Go ahead, Mike. Oh, sorry, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so when did you go through this process with Clyde Brown?
This is a tough question. I can't believe this.
It was within the last 10 years, right?
Yeah, it was 2017, I believe, yeah.
So you're well versed in this. This isn't something new to the town. We've been through it recently.
We have, and we also use CM at risk, the construction management technique for that as well.
For those that don't know what that is, that's avoids the low bidder. We used a low bidder for the library and it came out nice, but it was a lot of friction and we avoided cost overruns by just keep stretching it out. You can't stretch a school out, it's gotta be open in September.
Right.
So CM at risk gives you the ability to guarantee performance of the construction manager.
Yeah.
Because they've seen those documents, looked at those documents and worked with those documents from the inception.
Gotcha.
And I want to say that we came in 4 million under budget for
Correct.
Clyde Brown,
Yeah.
just kind of mentioning that.
Yeah, I got that as a
And
note.
on time.
The library is on budget, but
Yes.
not on time.
And sorry, I'm just going back to the timeline again. So if this is expected to wrap up in Q2 2029, Q3, the fall school year then of 2029, would people would be fully utilized? I know they're moving around and but it'd be fully utilized by that fall, right?
I believe that's right. I don't have the
Right.
schedule in front of me, but
I would imagine. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Diane, if you want to keep going along.
Okay, so you talked about when the new taxes would go into effect.
Yeah, just talked about that.
Craig, can you address number 4?
oh, sure.
So just for the audience and members, I submitted some questions as well. And I said, how did the town of Millis overall debt increase with this project? Are there any debts rolling off like the library or other town capital items?
First, I'm gonna complain because this was the finance committee's chart that I can barely read. But this came from last year. I think
From us?
4-point font.
Yeah.
I got it off the website. So right now I gotta hold it.
Yeah,
Okay, here we go. That's better. In 2033, the library is paid off. And we're paying between 250 and 300,000 a year on the library. And that's paid off in 2033. Police station's paid off in 2036, and that's between 500 and 700,000 a year. Both of those financings, and actually all of our financing has been on what we call level principal payment, where we pay the same amount of principal each year. And what happens is the total amount paid each year decreases. So in in 2025, we paid $700,000 towards the police station. In 2036, we pay 500. So it's decreasing. This project's gonna be built differently. We're using level payment. It's exactly like a home mortgage. We don't see any reason to penalize those of us that live in town today with incredibly high payments, and somebody 30 years from now who sends their child to that school is paying a third the cost we're paying today. Everybody for those entire 28 years will pay, not 30 years, 28 years, but everybody for those 28 years will pay the same portion of the
Yeah.
bill. So it's a level payment option, which is different. So we've got the library coming off in 33, the police coming off in 36. I'm looking for large numbers.
Fire?
Police fire is the same project. Clyde Brown comes off in 44.
That should be it.
And then we've got, everything else is 50,000, 60,000, small dollar amounts.
okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, and it will not, and this won't impact our bond rating at all. We're fine with this. The things that impact our bond, this is well within our debt limit.
Mhm.
The things that impact our bond rating are putting $50,000 into OPEB each year, having a ratio of free cash and stabilization that meets the 5% number. I looked up to find Jody and she's not here. So I say free cash, I look to Jody. So those are the things that really do impact our bond rating, but we're very healthy.
Perfect.
Okay,
Oh, hang on, Eric's got one quick question.
Actually, just a quick bond question, right? The 28 years, is that a standard number? Is there a reason we chose that and didn't go with something longer that's kind of more in line with the life of the building?
30 years is the typical lifespan that you bond, and there's 2 years when we start before we actually bond it, so that turns it into a 30-year bond. But the 28 years of financing on 30 years of work.
Right, and Craig, I could probably jump in here too. The MSBA doesn't recommend bonding on school projects longer than 30 years. You really don't get more competitive, compelling rates, even at the 40-year term. So really, that's the sweet spot, is right around that 30-year mark.
Thank you, Jody.
I didn't know you were there, Jody.
Just got there.
No.
Oh, no worries. You're doing a
All right.
great job, Craig.
I feel a little safer now that you're there.
We'll turn up the fire a little bit here. All right, go ahead, Diane.
You asked a question about, you heard a story about Medfield not passing a building ad reno. Well, it's not kind of funny for them.
Is that a true story?
The vote failed, it is true.
So, do you know the story? I don't know the story. Could you preface it a little bit for everybody?
It failed, it was a school
Okay.
override and the
Okay.
vote failed. Don't know any more about that, other than how much it was, I don't think I even remember, do you?
I don't know the exact amount, but the vote failed 5 years ago. They
Yeah.
got back into the MSBA, they're coming forward again to do it. And the same basic building is 50% more expensive.
Yeah.
And they get to pay for the feasibility study again, themselves. MSBA doesn't cover it
Wow.
second time.
Gotcha.
And the other part with that, any renovations you do to a building during that period, so if we were to abandon this
Yeah,
and say, we're just gonna fix the roof and come back in 5 years, and we put $5 million in fixing the roof and the windows, they won't reimburse us for that $5 million. Even if we have to tear the roof off because of the project and do it again, they subtract the $5 million we spent off
Sure.
of what they're gonna give us. So it's never going to be cheaper than it was 5 years ago, and it's never going to be cheaper than it is today.
thank you for that. Adding some color around that story. That's what I was driving at in terms of having them go back into the system, having it cost more.
Well, the first project manager we had lived in Medfield and was the head of the PBC there.
That's what I was, I think that's where I heard it, yes. Yeah. All right, keep going.
These questions are from Brett, thank you. If the project were to pass in town meeting and at the ballot, what are the biggest risks to the project timeline, budget, or educational goals, and how are they gonna be managed? And I'm asking Emily to step in on this.
Go ahead, Emily.
So biggest risks with any ad reno are definitely the unforeseen conditions. We'll manage that by assigning contingencies to certain line items. For example, hazmat is one of the biggest unforeseen conditions. And that will kind of be the way that we move through it. And as we move past any demo of any section, that contingency from that hazmat, we can then either reassign to a section of the building that we haven't touched yet, or put that back into the contingency for use to cover other risks. But we always have a list of any project risks that are coming up, and we keep a close eye on it. And there's tasks you can do to mitigate any risks, exploratory work, making roof cuts, checking inside the walls, above the ceilings before you start in the second area.
Yeah, maybe, if you care, perhaps Diane would, offer a little bit more detail on this. As I understand it, the, high school, middle school was renovated in the 80s, maybe. And, so that's post,
Early 90s.
that's
I got it right
post
here.
any, I don't know what the extent of the scope of work was. I think it was pretty substantial. And certainly after, asbestos or lead-based paint was allowed. So I'm just wondering what you think, notionally, the risk of finding hazmat is in the school.
Can't answer about radon, sorry, speaking to the mic, Diane. Can't answer about radon because I don't know what the situation is, but I do know that the architects crawled all over the building with their subcontractors to figure out what our real issues were, so they're very familiar. For example, they found that there's no insulation on the roof. So the water just comes right on down, doesn't get the insulation wet. So I don't anticipate we'll find a lot of big problems that haven't already been found.
Perfect. And, Pete, 1999, the building was renovated, but no additions were added.
Thank you.
Right.
Right, and they have been through that building pretty heavily. The only part, and with our last building where we did find the contamination, the last two, was the soil. And the only part where the soil's being disturbed is where the new addition's going, and I'd be very surprised. The last one was a DPW dump, where we found the asbestos outside the library. It had previously been a DPW dump site. I doubt that, we know that it was a DPW license plate from 1949 and stuff. So, coincidence, but, But, this area, probably is
safer.
I mean, it's not in the middle of.
No guarantee it's
It's been
safer.
stuck there for a while.
Understood.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep moving. Great.
So market conditions, we have escalation for every year between 5 and 10%. So it's built in, that's the best we can do.
Yeah, and as far as steel and other things like that going up in cost, because everybody's hearing tariffs and stuff. The real cost in this building is labor. And, I've done a couple buildings with the YMCA, and Emily, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, the steel that's used, even if it goes up, it's not going to move this thing exponentially. It's the labor costs that are actually on the decrease slightly now, so I'm excited about that. So we'll see if labor costs come down on this at all, which could help us when we get an actual bid. But I'm not concerned about steel escalating and having an impact on the project. It's not covered by our contingencies and the escalators.
Mr. Chair.
So go ahead, Brett.
This is coming from being informed on the nonprofit security grant program, so yeah, forgive me for making a connection here. My understanding is when you have an organization that gets those funds, there's a requirement to meet a certain wage threshold. With a project like this, with the, getting approval through the MSBA, is there a wage threshold that we are being beholden to?
It's prevailing wage,
Prevailing
which means union wage.
Yeah.
And the company we worked with last time for the Clyde Brown, the police station, the fire station, they were a union company. So that met the needs.
It's about 30% more.
Yeah, yes.
It's a kind of hefty chunk.
Yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
more questions?
No, keep rolling through these.
Okay, the next question was, how would the building perform if actual enrollment were significantly under or over the 645 student estimate? I can tell you that the current middle high school population is about 572 students. The middle school, which is grades 6, 7, and 8, have 286 students. And the high school, which is grades 9 through 12, has the same number. Go figure that. Clyde Brown, because that's what we're looking at coming in. Right now, they have 462 students in grades 1 through 5. There's no big bubble. Grade 2 is 102 kids, and grade 3 is 100, and the rest are between 80 and 100. So we don't have a big bubble that we know about.
And just to point out on the website, if you dig down into the documents there's a New England School Development Council document, which shows the projections for the next 10 years, and it's relatively flat. Plus or minus.
Mr. Chair, if I may, the reason why I asked this question is because I looked at that survey and because it's relatively flat, that everything that you said makes a lot of sense. And what is missing though from that is some insight and awareness on our growing population. So if the 675 is taking into account a growing population, we're speaking about, how the tax burden is going to be spread across as our population grows. If 675 is the magic number to accommodate that, phenomenal. But if not, that's the reason for my question.
Well, and the way it's this, oh, go ahead.
It's 645, and that's as high as MSBA would allow the total to go.
Right, they won't allow us to design for more than the anticipated number, but saying that, if the classes grow 2 to 3 kids per classroom, that fits. If there's a huge bubble that comes through, which we don't see in the pipeline right now, you'd reconfigure classroom space to make it work. And the other part is the building is designed with expansion in mind. If you look at, thank you, Diane, I was gonna walk over it, but if you look at the middle school on that's a good picture right there, Diane, actually. That
Yeah.
flat roof on the first floor right there,
This will hold 2 classrooms.
that's 2 classrooms worth of space, and it's framed so that steel work below it is designed so it can be added on. It's not designed like, okay, you gotta rip this off and put it in. You can put 2 more classrooms right there for middle school at nominal cost. It's not gonna be free, obviously, but it's nominal cost. And then the high school can be expanded into the courtyard in the back area a little bit. So it's designed with expansion in mind, should that ever be a need in the next 30 to 50 years.
Go ahead, Mike.
I think we should also recognize too, the most substantial increase in population in the town has been over the age of 55. Both with Glen Ellen and if you look at a lot of the new developments, half are people with children, half are people that are beyond childbearing age. So I think that looking at the demographics and the figures that you've had, they have, you know, they calculate that in. So it's not all new growth is gonna be kids.
Okay,
Good point. Yep, keep going.
okay, clear estimate of cost of renovation only option. Well, that's the giant bullet that we wanna dodge right now. We estimated about $50 million in costs for bringing the leaking roof, the insulation, the doors, the windows leak inside the building. Not a great thing. HVAC doesn't really work. I can attest to that. I sat in a school committee meeting last summer and it was 95 inside the room and 90 outside. It's terrible in there. The labs need to be upgraded. They need wiring, plumbing, IT technology. Some hazmat material is in there as kind of a safety, fire protection, and we would need modulars if we did something like this. These don't include the cost. The 50 million doesn't include the cost of the modulars, which is about $5 million. And it's never covered by MSBA. But
Right.
we don't need to do it on this project. And basically, we don't have labor, project management, or any of that. We'll be up probably at about 75 million to do that. Now, there are two ways of doing it. All at once, which is not pleasant, or we can do the 3-year plan. The building code now says you can spend 33% of the assessed value of your building, which is 27 million and change, every 3 years. If you go over that, you have to do it all. You trigger the code, you have to get in compliance with everything. So we figured more than 10 years actually to complete all the renovations. And that's all our own nickel. And the other thing about the renovations is they're not gonna resize the classrooms in the building. They're not gonna bring the classrooms anymore up to school standards to meet the ed plan. We're not gonna see the science rooms that are in the new layouts. We're gonna miss a lot of things.
Yeah, and there's a very detailed maintenance plan laid out, the deferred maintenance plan. This is a 10-year plan that topped out at 58.8 million, that included modulars, which is actually more expensive than doing it right. So, and it took 10 years, and every other year, you're gonna like this choice, every other year, there is an override to fund it. In 2027, we do a $10.6 million override to do the roof, windows, abatement, some classroom vents. So that's 10.6 million in next year, or the first year of this plan. The next year, 2 years later, you get off a little cheaper, comes in at 4.9 million. And that takes care of electricity, HVAC, emergency power. The next year is a real bargain. That's year 6 of the plan. That comes in at about $1 million. So that one's affordable. And that takes care of some little things of that 3-year rule that Diane talked about. We have to be careful. Next year comes in at about 6.9 million. So that's year 8, the next phase. So each of these is a standalone separate override. And if one of them fails, it pushes everything else out further. The last year, now this is where you've tripped everything. You're gonna need an override for $27.4 million to finish the project. And the project you finished is, you've stopped the roof from leaking. You've got the HVAC systems working. Your classrooms are still undersized. And you know, squeeze more kids in the classroom. What do I care? My wife went to school in this building. But the high school science labs are unsafe at the size they are. So there's some of it is uncomfortable and some of it is absolutely unsafe to teach chemistry in a classroom where there's not enough room to get away from an accident. Or an incident. So that's the first option. That's the 10-year plan. Then you've got them where you can slam them all together into a short period. And you're gonna disrupt school every year for the next 10 years. The other options are quicker, but they cost more. So
Right, so the do nothing plan is the Band-Aid on the Band-Aid on the Band-Aid over 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's approximately $20 million more than the current option we're entertaining.
Well, there truly is a do nothing plan, which is sit and watch our education system fail. And there's gonna be people who don't wanna vote for an override for the cheap plan, which is this one.
Yeah.
The expensive plan, which is the Band-Aid. And I don't know, I mean, there's a reality, we have to provide education. And if that education means we just stop the roof from leaking and make the bathroom work, congratulations, $58 million.
Yeah.
If you don't wanna provide education, we can't even have a dialogue. We can have a dialogue about how do we fund it?
Yeah.
And there's options to fund it that are less expensive, which build that, and options to fund it that are more expensive that don't do anything.
And those are just as a reminder, Joe's to you out there. Those are all the different options that are laid out between R1, R2, R3, AR, and then a new building. So all options have been evaluated. Go ahead, Joyce.
As far as getting out to the public and letting, I mean, we're talking here, and I don't know how many people are watching this. I've mentioned it to people, please watch because you are presenting this evening. What is the plan as for the building committee to go to, say, the senior center or to the Glen? So
Yeah.
that the folks up there know. I think it's really imperative.
We're scheduled to go to the Glen on, I get it wrong.
October 26th.
Thank you.
22nd.
We're booked
22nd.
22nd.
22nd or 26th?
22nd.
I
Yeah.
misheard.
And
22nd.
then we're going to schedule the Council on Aging. And we also have a mailing coming out from this committee, the school building committee. Probably, I thought there was a mailing, okay?
And there's a postcard.
Yeah.
that's-
And there's
okay.
a public forum on the 14th.
Yeah.
The public forum on the 14th.
I went to the Lions Club last night and did the Lions Club. We have a pack because some of you may or may not remember.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to go out and wave the banner and
Yeah,
promote the project. It's an ethics violation.
Well.
correct. Keep going, Diane.
Behave.
Yeah,
We do have a pack
yeah,
and they had, I guess, quite a bit of attention at the fire station thing on Sunday.
yeah, open house.
They're doing teas and coffees as they can with neighbors. They've already done a brochure.
Yeah.
So they're being active.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the reality is with the ethics violations, we're not allowed to use town resources to advocate. On the committee, we don't give up our First Amendment right to advocate, so we're allowed to say what we want, but as a
Right.
committee, they've recommended it, the school building committee, that's been a formal recommendation.
Yeah.
Select board says a formal recommendation, but as individuals, we're allowed to advocate for it. We just have to be very careful about using any town resources, copy machines, email lists, anything.
Yeah. Understood.
Would you mind giving me those dates again? October 22nd at the Glen, at what time?
That's not open to the public.
That's not for the
No,
public.
no, just so if I'm
There's a-
talking to Glen people. Okay.
There's an email they had to sign up for,
Oh,
the
okay.
100 seats. They're
And what were
handling
the
it.
other dates for?
We haven't set the other ones.
Okay,
We have,
I'll follow up with you to the.
we have a community
okay.
community forum on the 14th.
Yeah.
Copies of that are posted at the library and in the senior center, and I believe on the town website, and I put them on Facebook. Of course, no one reads that. but
And there'll
anyway.
be a couple mailings going.
Go ahead,
on.
Mike.
I think you've had numerous public meetings on this. And if anybody hasn't taken advantage of, being part of that, you've had them virtually, you've had them in person. So you've done a lot. So people are listening now, don't think that this hasn't gone on for some time. It's been very transparent, it's been very public. I think the one thing that people, at least that I've taken from all the meetings that I've listened to you is, there is absolutely no question that the school needs to be renovated or rebuilt or new addition. There's no question to that. The question is, how do you best do it? And if you look at what we were just discussing, and you look at the proposals that you looked at, and you looked at a variety of different proposals,
15 maybe.
15, and you vetted them all and came up with the final one. To very, very blunt, this is a good deal. The state is picking up $67 million of our construction. And we're only paying 56. Now, that's a lot of money, but $56 million to build basically a new school. I mean, it's not brand new, but it's renovated and a new addition. It's gonna look like a new school. It's gonna feel like a new school. It's gonna act like a new school. So the question out there is, does it make any sense not to do it? And if you're going to do it, this seems to be the best deal we're gonna get. Am I wrong on that? I mean, did I miss anything?
No, can you come to our next meeting?
Of course you will.
Yeah.
There,
I have a better deal.
I counted up, you actually have had 44 meetings, the school building committee, from December of 2022 to August of 2025, you had 44 meetings. Of which 4 have been Millis Permanent Building Committee, participation, and 4 have been public forum meetings. So you've done a phenomenal job. Let's keep, we want to be mindful of time, let's keep
Okay,
going
I
through.
want to say one thing.
Yeah,
Millischoolproject.com, excuse me, .gov. You find everything on there, minutes of our meetings, proposals, all the drawings, everything is on there. So, life cycle maintenance and cost model. We have, and maybe Mike can speak to that, we have a maintenance team for the town buildings, correct, Mike?
We have, yeah, we've consolidated all of the maintenance under one department now for all town buildings. The library is a perfect example of it. They have a detailed, capital improvement, capital renovation plan to keep it new. It's 12 years old now, 10 or 12 years old. I think it's 12 years old now. And we just patched the roof, put $100,000 in the roof, a few other things. That all comes from them as part of their plan, their renovation plan, and identified breaks that need fixing. And that goes to the permanent building committee. No, that goes to the capital planning committee. And that committee appropriates funds. Now, it's interesting because when we appropriated $100,000 for the roof, this is what happened in the 70s and 80s and 90s and got us in this place. People went angry because why are we spending $100,000 on a new building? We're spending $100,000 on the new building to keep it new. So I promise you in 10 years, you're gonna see money spent on the school. And it's not a bad thing. That keeps us from replacing it in 30 to 50 years. So there's going to be standard routine maintenance that has to be done, capital maintenance. And that's just part of a building. If you own a building, you have to fix it. If you don't fix it, you end up replacing it in 30 to 60 years.
I know we've talked before on the capital planning committee, but could you just reference the libraries on a similar maintenance schedule?
Yeah, the library has a detailed list of what they know they're gonna do each ballpark every 3-4 years. They're gonna be doing these projects, and then something will happen. The roof will leak and we have to deal with an emergency. But most of it's on a routine schedule basis, end of life on HVAC. That building in 25 years is gonna need a new HVA system. That's how long they last, but that's a known commodity. Well, we'll have to deal with that when that day comes, but we're not gonna avoid that. If we avoid that, we end up letting the building start falling apart.
Thank you.
This town went a long time before we built any buildings. We did the library, police and fire, some DPW buildings, Clyde Brown,
Yeah.
and now the
Let's
school.
flip the bond, yeah.
And the bills have come due long before this, but we didn't do anything.
Right.
So maintenance has been kind of a sore subject, and I'm happy to say that somebody's working on it now.
Yep, and as we're all homeowners, we know what deferred maintenance is like. Yeah, it adds up. Don't talk to my wife.
That's what she said.
I know, yeah. Okay, so,
Heidi's questions are,
yeah, Heidi, your questions are, I feel like we've answered a lot of your questions, but,
we've talked about expansion capabilities with
Yeah.
2 classrooms, and you can add a couple of students to each of the current classes if you need to. Impact on taxes. I think we've covered that. Projected enrollment. Estimate of cost of the renovation option, we've done that, and maintenance plans. Heidi, have you heard everything you needed?
So the only other question I had was the question about how it impacts senior citizens. So what portion of taxes would they not be responsible for the new build versus if we did renovation only, does any of that get waived for them? Because so that question is coming from genuinely wanting to know, but also I do believe we've got to educate, and I think that the committee has done a great job at that. But I think an FAQ which Diane, I think you said the PAC has in the works. I think an FAQ laying all this out, the cost of renovation versus what we want, what the committee is recommending, the costs to seniors in town, which I think many of them are very cost sensitive and on fixed incomes. And I think if they truly understand that the impact to them is probably less with the proposed solution than it would be for a reno only, getting all those facts out there, I think really help people understand that this makes a lot of sense all around.
Yeah, what Heidi's referring to, if any of us can ever forget it, was last town meeting, we passed an exclusion for seniors in town over 65 who qualify for the senior circuit breaker, who've lived in town for 10 years and their house is, I believe, assessed for less than $1 million. I think there were 2 other criteria, but they were trivial compared to those 3. They would be excluded from all overrides debt exclusions that relate to school construction. So Heidi, I think they would, based on my recollection of it, I think they would be excluded from any tax increase on either this plan or the stepping stone plan. I think they're excluded for both. But I think the important part is there are potentially, Mike, what was our estimate? 200, 150?
200.
Yeah, there's about 200 of our senior citizens who are least able to afford this that wouldn't be subjected to this tax. I absolutely understand their position. $1,000, $900 a year for somebody who is on an absolutely fixed income is way different. And I get emails because I'm on the select board from somebody who says their tax on their condo in Miami and Hawaii is less than this. I don't have a condo in either. So, but I get that, there's people that it's going to be uncomfortable. There's people that it's going to be, well, let's be honest, nobody wants to spend $900 more on taxes. Nobody. There's some people that just can't afford it. And we've done what we can legally do to exclude about 200 people from that burden.
Yeah, good, Joyce.
There's also tax work off for those senior citizens that do not qualify for this circuit breaker. There is through our senior center, there is a tax write-off where you can get up to $2,000 a year off your taxes if you work for a department in town that needs help. I believe there's approximately 30 positions open and not all are filled.
And that
So-
also applies for veterans.
And veterans as well, they qualify as well.
Those are income qualified though, right?
Yeah, you gotta qualify.
Yes.
No, they're not. No, they're not income qualified.
We can find out.
It's a fine line. If there is a need and somebody is over a certain income level, they can apply. But it is income.
Well, let's check that.
I'll clarify
That's the way
that,
I
yeah,
remember, I asked that question. I know that there is income qualification for what we just passed, but I didn't think there was.
Well, we wanna be black and white and not gray on this. So let's
Yeah,
verify,
okay,
it. Let's
go ahead.
verify.
Are we good? Any
Yeah,
more
I mean,
questions?
Heidi, are you good on your end?
Yes, please.
Yes, I think all of my questions have been addressed.
Thank you, Pete, go ahead.
I'll preface my question that I know that MSBA does not pay or contribute any money towards fields and other site work, but especially fields. I know that our fields are currently non-compliant for various MIAA events, especially playoffs. We don't have a track, we have a trail. We have a football field and soccer field that has valve boxes in play. We have a baseball field that has one dugout, which the track or the trail runs through the in play. It's just not good. And so my question is, does any part of this construction, either during construction or after construction, exacerbate that problem? I don't know where the laydown area is for that construction. It's probably going to interfere with those fields during construction, I imagine. But what
I don't think it will.
does it make it?
No,
Does the construction, when it's complete, that home plate looks like it's about 50 feet from the new structure? Has anybody checked with
We have.
MIA?
Yeah, that home plate and the backstop for the home plate is compliant with the law, with the rules. In fact, it makes it a missed catch, not a double or a triple. It puts it like most schools have it now. That's a distance that's absolutely legal between the home plate and the backstop. There is no impact on the fields. And you're right, the reason we excluded it is because new fields would probably run about $15 to $20 million. Because once you start doing the fields, you have to put in new grandstands that are compliant. You have to put in restrooms at the grandstands. You have to move the road to accommodate the grandstands and the track. It just escalates from there. It's not as simple as just spreading turf on the existing field, putting turf on the existing field.
I would, I appreciate you answering that. And I think the point takeaway is, one, our fields are not getting any better. They're awful. They probably will always be awful. And if anybody makes the argument that this school is above and beyond and it's palatial and it's gold plated, it is not.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think it's important to just interject is that, you know, the school is in need and the fields are not in need, but close behind in terms of a strong want.
The decision from the select board and the committee was education first, because that's what we had to address. And we don't lose anything by doing it. It's not like we're leaving money on the table the state would give us. If in 2 years, a group wants to petition, wants to fight, wants to organize, wants to try to design it.
Yeah.
It's not costing us anything to do it on our own. There's no state money attached to it. So it doesn't change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pete, I think you'll also find that if you walk out there where the diamond is, you'll see some flags. We flagged the area so people can see where it's gonna go. And I think for laydown, we may be able to go, maybe you can see if I get up here. Just to the right of this, there is an area that's not wetlands, and we may be able to use that.
So when you say lay down, you're defining the area where materials will be stored and so forth.
Yes.
Any final questions?
Nope.
Just a couple closing comments. For starters, I appreciate all three of you coming in tonight and giving us the time as well as the education, and the details behind the questions that we do have. I also just want to remind everybody that, and Diane, correct me if I'm wrong, but the school building committee is made up of 14 members, 7 voting, 7 non-voting. You have TAPE architects who are involved, you have Vertex who's involved. You have the school committee involved, the permanent building, select board, finance committee, and the capital planning committee. And then on top of that, the Mass School Building Authority. So everybody is rowing in the right direction.
You also have the school, Bob Mulaney and the 2 principals.
The schools themselves, yes. Yep,
Yep.
thank you. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pete.
Mr. Kara.
I know.
Remember, I was in that chair one time, many years.
They do have to.
Yeah.
They do have to move certain levels. But.
James, hang out. Yeah. Nate, come on down. Yeah. I apologize, you were first in the batting order, but we went to the school building first.
I thanked him already.
All right, good. I'm thanking you again.
Well, you know, it's,
And maybe you learned a little bit too.
my cardigans and my chicken stir fry took a little longer than I anticipated, so,
You can't rush perfection. Okay. So, with that said, why don't you bring us up to speed on the community preservation open space and the
Okay,
trail
so-
construction?
So we have one project in front of us this year, and it's from John Stedman, who represents the Glen. And they're looking for funding for a design of universal accessible trails of the Glen.
Okay,
So right now, there's trails there, but they want to expand on the trails that exist. And they need $20,000 for engineering and design on these
the study,
existing sites.
okay. I do not have any specific questions. April.
Nate, can you describe public access to the trails? Is there parking? Is it marked like there are other open space or trails in town? Are there signage? Any hours limitations? Can you just describe how accessible to the rest, not accessibility in terms of ADA, but accessible to the rest of the town?
So the area, there is a parking spot, which I think has about 8 spots, 8 to 10. It's a gravel parking area. So when you're coming from Millis, it's on the right-hand side before you get to the entrance of the Glen. And then the area is encompassed on the right side, of the, property. And, originally this was gonna be a 9-hole golf course when, this whole project got, laid out, but, they decided not to do the 9-hole golf course and to create the open space. So the planning board worked with the Glen and the developers, the Toll Brothers, to leave the space open. And, use it as walking trails. So they'd like to expand on that now. Because, again, I guess, John did state that, and I did ask the same question, that a lot of people utilize that, from Millis, from other towns, and it's used quite frequently.
I mean, I'm just gonna say, the elephant in the room is really that I'm just trying to make sure that our public funds are going for the betterment of public space. And I think there could be some out there that would say, well, this is just, stuff for the people of the Glen. It is not, as you describe it, and that's why I'm raising the issue, to hear you say that these trails, there's parking, there's no limitations on the rest of Millis or other people from other towns accessing the space. I think it's great.
It is, and it, is accessible to the Glen and is accessible to anybody that would like to utilize it. This is only phase 1.
Right.
So the Glen has a fund set up for maintenance, which they spend, I think, $40,000 to $50,000 a year for cutting and maintaining the area already. But to make this more accessible, they're gonna need to put a bridge in, they're gonna need to expand the trails. So I think they're gonna try to come back after, if this gets approved at town meeting, for additional funding up to a certain amount. I don't know exactly.
So just looking at this, so the 20,000 is to get the study going and the design going, correct? And then possibly up to another 100 or 130,000 total,
It could be, yeah.
could be.
Yeah.
Based on what the design says.
Based on, yeah, what the engineers and designers come up with.
And what's that timeline like, do you think? If it passes at town meeting, is that another 6 months out or 12 months out or short?
I believe that they could do some kind of preliminary estimating, and then they probably come to us again and then look to have this on a Springtown meeting if possible.
Yeah, and then we'll have a better idea of what those trails and construction looks like.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Are there any other universally accessible trails in this region and between, let's say, ourselves, Medway, Medfield, Dover, Sherburne?
This does not connect to anything else. It's very similar to Oak Grove Farm, which is.
No, I know that, but are there any other trails that people, handicap, could go in the general region, and access trails that may be accessible
In Millis or in the region?
in the region?
I can't answer that.
Are there any alternative trails is what you're saying?
Yeah,
So this will be ADA accessible for wheelchairs, walkers, that type of people that have any type of disability or impediment. So, I'm sure there might be some in the area. I know that, Medfield, Hospital Hill, most of theirs are not. They're just trails. So it would be difficult for someone that had a situation that needed a clear path.
Eric, go ahead.
I have a couple of questions. So the first is, the 20,000 is coming out of the Community Preservation Open Space Reserve Fund, correct?
Correct.
And that, the subsequent funds, the other 100, the other 100,000, is that coming from the same source?
To be determined, probably. they haven't requested anything. This is just phase one, so it could come out of the open space fund. Currently, we have $72,874 of money in that fund designated for that. Not to say you can't get funding from our general fund or our undesignated fund balance or just our general fund.
Okay. Actually, I still have two more questions, so I guess I lied at the beginning. Second question is, how are we expecting the usage pattern of these trails to change when we invest this money?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, how are we expecting the usage pattern of these trails to change? Are we expecting them to be more utilized? Are there people in town that are, currently unserved by trails that we're expecting to start using these trails?
There's gonna be a lot more accessibility with the ADA, and I think it's gonna be over 2 miles of trails that people can access and utilize. So it'll, I think, double what they have available right now.
I guess the root of the question is, how do we know if the project was a success, if it's money well spent?
I don't know. I mean, it's to be determined. I mean, it's a utilized space now, and I welcome anyone. I'm not the advocate, I'm just the messenger. John Stedman is the advocate for this, so.
So maybe there was a kernel of need or want to start this process then, to maybe answer your point a little bit.
Yeah, I just like to look at, most things I like to look at them and say, like, what's the objective measure on the other side, and say whether hit our objective or did not hit our objective with this. So,
Yeah.
With the design,
that's the root of the question.
yeah, with the design that he presented to us, it looks like it would be the payback would be beneficial.
Absolutely. There are lots of cars up there now. If you go up there are cars from all over that park, get out, walk. It's a lovely area. And 2 miles is a good amount of space
Yeah,
to
it
be
is.
able to walk. So you're not having to find like Oak Grove is lovely, but you're just going around and around and around and around and around. Whereas this is conservation land, you're seeing wildlife, I think it's a benefit, and I see that there are people utilizing it now. I can only see more people utilizing it. If it's longer and bigger, better.
Yeah, and certainly some of the stuff like the bridge sounds like it'd be nice regardless if you're, if you need it or not, And so then the last question was, and just something that I'm certain I heard it at a previous meeting, but I've forgotten. The policeman consultants did a study around Bay Street town, and something like this was included. Is that true? Does that ring a bell for anyone?
Yes, it does.
It rings a bell, but I don't know what source.
Space and recreation plan.
Right,
Space and
yes,
recreation
space and
plan.
recreation plan.
Okay.
Now, whether
What
that,
types of things
whether that was specifically included in that plan, that proposal, the current proposal was included in that, I don't know.
I
But
don't
yes, there
think
was
it
a study
was.
for eventual use and disposition of all open space in town.
Well, I'll make a note so we can see if we can track that down. I'm sure we can.
Yeah, I'll see that.
Yeah.
I do have the book at home, so I can reference that,
Perfect. Thank you. Okay,
and let you know.
I have a question.
Review it again.
go ahead, Heidi.
What types of things need to be done to make those trails accessible?
Space needs to be clear.
Needed to be cleared, there's been a beaver dam up on the, that's washed out part of the trail. That's gonna have to be reconstructed, and then the bridge has to be put in, and then just making walking surfaces, ADA compliant and passable. Is, gonna be required.
I've walked on those trails and they are beautiful. A lot of them are just like grass. Some of it is paved. But how would the grassy sections be made ADA compliant? Like, I can't imagine somebody with a rollator or a wheelchair being able to get over some of those grassy areas.
So the grassy areas will not be ADA compliant. This will be designated trails that they will be accessing. So anyone that's capable of walking on the grass can do that, but there's gonna be a designated trail that people can traverse.
And
So
that would
maybe
be,
Go ahead, Heidi.
that
go
would be
ahead.
paved, presumably?
ADA compliant, is that what you're asking? Sorry, you were cutting out.
Yeah, so the ADA compliant trails would be paved trails?
No, no,
I don't believe they'd be paved with asphalt. There will be some kind of compacted material that would allow people to access them. That's to be determined by the engineer.
yeah, maybe after we get the design, that'll answer some of our detailed questions.
Yep.
Any other final thoughts? Go ahead, Mark.
So I was just wondering, how was this trail specifically selected, based on the other trails? Is it based on foot traffic, maximizing usage?
So the CPC committee accepts projects, so we don't search for them. They came to us and asked for funding for a study and then potentially to improve this site, which the town approved when they approved the development. So they reached out to us.
Okay, so there's no overall analysis of how, this 130,000 would be used here versus other trails in this?
No, I mean, we've given Oak Grove Farm funding to improve their trail system with donation of time, materials, and then they pay for labor. So I think we've given them, top of my head, Joyce?
No, I was gonna say, perhaps you explain, maybe it's not understood where this money is coming from, that it's not tax money.
It absolutely is.
Well,
tax-
it is.
Is it?
It's fees. So,
Well-
so the conservation money up to $72,000 is the balance, comes from the registry of deeds. Every time there's a deed recorded, there's a fee that gets split amongst Norfolk County and distributed out to the town. So the balance is, I think I heard 72,000.
Right,
So there's not 130, there's enough to, what they're asking for is, they still need to come for approval from the town to spend those conservation dollars. And so up to 20,000. I think what I heard, if I may. I think what I heard Nate say is if it comes back for 130, they only have 70, you can split the fund source up. So then it would be free cash, it could be some sort of other appropriation that would have to be voted. So the money is taxpayer dollars, really. Fees are not the same as taxes, but they're fees that we've already paid in. Anybody that's registered a deed in Norfolk County, it gets split up. We get very little in Norfolk County of, Millis gets very little of that.
well, I guess my point was, it is not an additional tax, though, that
It's not-
that was
it's
my,
not part of your property.
it's not part of your property tax, yes, it is. It's fees, but I just think that it's something that needs to be noted, that it's not additional tax money. That's all.
Mike, do you wanna jump in at all, or?
I just wanted to touch base on the fact that this is a unique opportunity, because this property, the town has a permanent recreation easement on this property. It was part of the forethought of the planning board when they went through this process with, Toll Brothers to approve the project. And not only that, it's, of course, it's the old golf course.
Right.
Which many people lamented to see go, but
Yeah.
you know, that's progress, and that's the need for housing is there. But we also have, you know, a private organization that pays a lot of money every year to maintain that property.
Yeah.
And they maintain it, and then it's open to the public, so that makes it a somewhat unique opportunity for the community. Obviously, if it wasn't fully accessible by the public, we wouldn't be considering putting public funds towards it.
Yeah.
So this is a unique opportunity. I know that, obviously the work they're looking to do is try to make it, fully accessible. My understanding is there aren't many, accessible, fully ADA accessible trails, like that in this region. This would draw people, in for this. Maybe you'll draw people in to come eat downtown or do other business, who knows?
Right.
This will be a draw. It's somewhat of a unique trail. It's 2 miles also. It's a very long ADA accessible trail.
Yeah.
Out in the suburbs. And I know the CPC only has 72,000 in that specific account. They have money in their general account, which can legally be used. That's a policy decision from the CPC. But there's also other things that could be looked at too, you know, free cash and other options when we get to the actual construction portion of this project. But, you know, we only see positives to this in the big picture for the recreational opportunity of the town. I do believe this was mentioned in the recreation and open space plan that Mr. Weiss worked on and, you know, received all the feedback from the public. But yeah, we should look at that and see what specifically it says in there. But I think this was one of the things that was flagged as a possible recreational resource for the community because of that urban easement.
Perfect. Any final questions?
I'll just make two quick statements.
Yeah, you bet. Go ahead.
So from the registry of deeds.
Yeah.
Last year, we got $84,875 in registry of deeds. That was their contribution. The rest of it is a taxation of 1% minus $100,000 value of your property off the value, and that's what our surcharge is. So you can see on your tax bill, there's a line item on there, says how much you pay for the CPC annually. So currently, we have $1,473,283 in our undesignated fund balance. So that's sitting there. Whatever we designate to utilize. And then community housing, we have 280,000, almost 281,000. Historic resources, 54,000, 55,000, and then the open space, 72,000. So there's money in each category that can be utilized, and then you can take out of the undesignated fund to
for whatever
purpose you need.
Yeah.
So we do have another project that's been presented to us that we will be meeting on again.
Okay.
For some housing. I'm not gonna get into that.
Okay.
But there was a substantial amount and not really sure about funding that project.
Gotcha. All right, future discussion.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming in and thank you for being flexible with your stir fry and the building committee tonight.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks for all your work.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Oh, Mike.
Both of us gonna hand out a hard copy of the draft warrant.
Okay. This means there's an update.
It's an update. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
Joyce.
Thank you, sir.
Great, thanks.
This is very similar to what you received by email.
Okay.
When you earlier. But it's a couple minor.
Sure. Go ahead and lead us through.
So, just on the article list. That's just formatted a little differently, just so you see that, it's a formatting item. I did try to add a little more specifics into the titles of each. Article as well, to give a little more color, into that, so. But it's the same 16 articles, I think, that we discussed.
Okay.
Last meeting.
Yep.
Article 1, we do have, Jody and her team pull together, all the, prior fiscal year bills. So you'll see those laid out by, funding category, general fund, and then the enterprise funds. So I'd be happy to try to answer any questions on these. Usually these are bills that, for whatever reason, they either came in late or the timing just wasn't right to get them in and encumbered on time. So, these are generally funded through free cash, which is basically money from last year's budget. So it's essentially just, we're paying these, we're just paying them about 4 or 5 months later.
Yeah, as the numbers came in.
Yes, exactly.
Kind of a standard article with a fall town meeting.
Yes.
Pete, do you have any questions on this one?
I've got a dozen questions. No.
I got scared. I know, you can put them in email and let me know. All right, perfect.
Happy to meet you tomorrow.
Saturday.
Right, sounds good.
All right, keep going.
So Article 2,
Mhm.
that is the, what I believe probably will be our last marijuana impact fee, proportionate, at the fall town meeting.
All right.
These items here are basically, the first 3 items are basically the second half of the funding that we had in the Springtown meeting. The reason why these get delayed is because free cash usually isn't certified until October. So these funds weren't technically, we had them, but they weren't certified to be spent at the time. So, these funds, will be certified, and available. I do want to explain the Tri-County, one.
Before you get there,
Yes,
if I may, I'm looking at a very old, 2023 spreadsheet of the HCA funding. And this 447,000, is going to exhaust the HCA
yeah, so,
5-year period, correct?
so actually, if you look at the article, it's 99,000, from the marijuana.
Yeah,
And then 348 from the general free
I'm
cash.
with you. Yep.
So yeah, the 99,000 will essentially,
That'll
you might have a
terminate.
very small amount, next spring, but
Yeah.
we're not counting on it for anything.
Understood. Just wanna make sure.
Cash left, we'll certainly find an appropriate use for it, but, we're not expecting any funds of any
Yeah,
magnitude in there.
gotcha. All right, go ahead with the Tri-County.
So the Tri-County, this was actually acted upon at the Springtown meeting, but just because of the way it was also a snafu in the motion, the way it was written up, that the Department of Revenue wants us to clarify this by putting it in this motion, so we're not spending the money twice. And just for clarification, this is the same money that was essentially, the intent to be approved at the Springtown meeting, so I just wanted to make that clear, this is more of a housekeeping.
Okay.
Clerical, right, so people questioning why did we do it in the spring, why are we doing it now? It's essentially the same payment.
And, Mark, this is your article, so any questions? Or any with Mike, and I can help you out as well.
Yeah, it's really myself.
Yeah.
I'm talking to the third person.
Okay.
Myself and Jody, we'll be happy to talk to you about
Yeah,
that.
I appreciate it.
Usually on the financial stuff, things like this, Jody would get involved in it as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
Go ahead, Pete.
Perhaps you want to defer this discussion till next year, but how long does the $99,000 worth of services from those 3 positions, when does the effort or the service expire based on that funding?
That would be June 30th.
Okay.
Of 2026, so at that point, either we need to review our budget and find the funds within the budget, or those services within the scale back.
Services of HCA services?
Of these 3
Yeah.
they're being
Yeah,
funded
yeah.
through HCA, that funding is gone when they're
We would need to-
done.
We would need to find.
It'd have to be in the regular
either
budget,
Manage
yeah.
that within our
Yeah.
general operating budget or eliminate or reduce those services. So that'll be part of that broader budget discussion that will be starting in earnest in January. So,
We've brought this up literally with at least I've been shared 2 years of.
Yep.
People start being creative how they wanna fulfill that gap.
shouldn't be a surprise. that-
No, exactly, but great point. Yep.
Article 3, essentially, we just had a parcel that was missed in a long list of parcels from the spring. I think we had 80 some odd parcels in the spring that we had listed for possible disposal by the town. This was simply a parcel that was missed, so we're just adding that parcel in.
Good, you go to that? Okay.
Articles 4 and 5, you've seen before at fall annual town meetings. This is 500,000 from free cash for road and sidewalk construction, design, repair, and maintenance. Certainly if you're like to, have some discussions about where possibly those funds specifically would go. We could certainly talk with Mr. McKay, about that, but, as long as we're able and have the, free cash to be able to do this, we're trying to bring our roads up to a much higher level. And I think we've made a lot of progress in the past, 3 or 4 years. But we realize there's still some work to do there to get us where we need to go.
Contact Mr. McKay for specifics. I think we need to have specifics before we as a committee vote on it, and certainly before the town votes on it.
Yes. Yeah, where are some of the areas in terms of what they're thinking?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I just want to ask for clarification. I'm hearing a lot of free cash statements, and then just our agenda stays the same number. Has free cash been certified, and what is that number?
Jerry Lundy?
That's the $1 million question, right? That's what we're waiting for.
Give me the most up-to-date response to that question.
Right. So I can tell you it's not certified yet, but it's very close. We're working with the final details of some of the reporting requirements with the DLS. So I hope to have news for you next week.
All right.
But the things, just to also be clear, the things that Mr. Gazinski is referring to as far as the 500,000 and 100,000, I have full confidence that we will be able to cover those numbers.
Thank you, Jody.
You're welcome.
So Article 5 is the tree pruning and removal. As you know, in years past, we haven't done this in a couple of years perhaps, but in years past, we've had funding set aside in there for special tree pruning and removal work in town. I can tell you, and I unfortunately was not at your last meeting where our tree warden, I think, spoke with you about
He
this.
did come in, yes.
We have had a large uptick in requested tree removals and tree work over the past year or so. And our current funds have been exhausted. And so some of these are getting to be urgent matters that we really need to take care of. So that 100,000 should take care of all the urgent matters and hopefully allow us to do some preventative maintenance as well.
Yeah.
And we'll reevaluate it probably next summer, once a lot of that work has been done, but we feel that this is it is lovely to live in a town with a lot of trees and a lot of cost of that. So that safety is maintained.
And just to be sure that everybody is aware that this is in addition to the 25,000 that Jim McKay has already in his budget. That is already almost used up.
Yes, that's correct.
Point. Okay.
So Article 6, I won't go into too much detail on that, because we spent about half hour earlier this evening.
Covered it pretty well.
But this is the up-to-date language that's been submitted, and this is very slightly different than what you were saying. I think it has the specific number in there. The total maximum grant amount from MSBA is 68,250,000. So that's considered the absolute cap. So no matter what we do, assuming they sign this agreement, which I fully expect they will, that is the maximum. So that's our goal, is to have the project done and meet that maximum number as part of the reimbursement.
Right.
And as was mentioned, our percentages are reimbursement are much higher than we originally anticipated, so we're all very happy about that.
So Craig mentioned 67,600,000 as a current number, and then 68,250 is the max number.
That is the max number, from our last meeting with MSBA. That was the number, I believe, that was put out as the maximum amount. So that's what we're gonna be gearing to go for.
Okay.
For reimbursement.
Mike, has this warrant article been vetted by MSBA and by the state?
So right now, this article has been, as of yesterday afternoon, this article was sent to bond council. It's already been sent to town council, who reminded us we need to send it to bond council, because they're the ones that have to take this to the bonding agencies and say it's good. So bond council is currently reviewing it, and MSBA is currently reviewing.
Okay, we're not gonna have any issues with the Attorney General?
I hope not. I don't expect. Are you expecting anything?
Well, I know with respect to the ADA, we did have an issue, ADU rather, I
Yes.
heard that we had.
Yeah, as this isn't a zoning or general bylaw,
Okay,
we shouldn't have any trouble. The MSBA is the state agency that oversees this, so if they're okay with it and our bond council's okay with it, we're good to go.
okay.
And bond council will also be reviewing the motion for this, as will MSBA, and they'll also be reviewing the actual ballot question. And the select board will be voting to approve and sign the fall annual town meeting warrant at their meeting on October 20th. They'll also be approving the ballot question to be placed on the December 8th election at that meeting as well, on October 20th.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Pete.
could you give an opinion on why you think the state funding came in higher than anticipated? Was it due to some sort of, I don't know, influence from our representatives? Was it because we absolutely held to the design that they would, you know, meet their reimbursement maxes? I mean,
I think
what
that-
happened?
I think there were two main reasons. I think the primary reason was the school building committee and our OPM were working very hard to try to maximize that reimbursement by tailoring the project in such a way that the square footage of the project and how it was in the included and excluded items were carefully reviewed. And the included items were maximized and the excluded items were minimized. I think that's one piece of it. And we also found out at our last meeting with them that there was one additional portion of a bonus point we were able to get that we weren't aware we were able to get. And that bonus point had over $1 million in additional reimbursement to the town. I can't really get into the bonus point because I'm not an expert in that area, but it had to do with certain things having to do with how we maintain the building and certain things that we qualified for a bonus point. So they have all these incentives that they offer the towns to try to encourage towns to build a certain way, and we did qualify for one that gave us a bonus point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Article 7 is our capital article. We don't have a lot of items on this. And I apologize if anything I say is going to be slightly repetitive from our last meeting.
We did have the fire chief come in last meeting.
Yeah, so the gas meters, not going to detail on that, but we
Yeah.
do have an earmark for that. But those meters are critical, the most critical item on this list, I would say. And this is sort of a belts and suspenders. We already have the belt from the state, but in case the state pulls that away, we want to put the suspenders on this so we can have these gas meters in the hands of the fire department by January 1st, no matter what.
Yeah.
And if, as we expect, the earmark is eventually released, these funds will be available at a future town meeting to simply transfer for use to another capital project.
Yep. Gotcha. Aaron, you good with all that? All right.
Right. We're not threatening the potential to receive those funds by us spending free cash to cover them.
We are not.
Okay.
The only, if we buy them ahead of time and spend the cash, that's a problem. But we do expect the governor to make a final decision on the earmarks and hopefully release them. I'd say by the beginning of December at the latest.
Okay.
Because at that point, it gets tough for a lot of towns to spend the earmarks, because the earmarks are supposed to be expended by June 30th. So we need to have at least 6 or 7 months, because some of these earmarks aren't just for purchases, they're for studies, projects. So it puts towns in a really tight position, if they hold the earmarks too long. But I think the state is just concerned about things happening at the federal level and how it's gonna affect their budget, so they decided to hold off on certain local aid issues, such as the earmarks. I think you've already had presentations on the other 3 items.
I believe so, yes.
So, yep, so that's the capital. And I believe you're gonna have a visit, from someone from the capital committee.
Jonathan Berry?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe next week.
Could be your next meeting.
It should be. That's final recommendation of the one after, I believe. But I'll work with Adrian and confirm that.
Excellent. So Article 8, and you just spoke with the chair of the CPC regarding the Open Space Reserve Fund.
Yep.
And the public portion of the Glen. Article 9, I believe Jody talked about that at a prior meeting.
Yes.
The different thresholds.
Yes.
If there's any follow-up questions on that, we can certainly, try to answer those. The ACO talked about Article 10.
Yep.
Earlier this evening.
Yep.
So Article 11, that was sent out, there is one change to this, and I thank Mr. Crone for catching this.
Sure, walk us through it.
So the commercial gas powered leaf blower noise bylaw would essentially put at least some moderate restrictions on the time that commercial landscapers can use gas powered leaf blowers, which are really the loudest landscaping device that these folks usually use. So for you'll see in the permitted hours of use, it says gas powered leaf blowers may be operated by commercial landscapers. So there's the new little piece in there, only during the following times. So again, it's not too restrictive. It is during the general business hours, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday 8 to 5, and prohibited on Sundays for commercial landscapers. If you're going out with your own gas power and you're a property owner and going out to do your own lawn, that restriction doesn't really apply to you as such. And so this bylaw really just puts some guardrails on the timing of that. So, and it's not that dissimilar from probably half a dozen other communities in the Commonwealth that have these types of bylaws.
Heidi, that's your articles. When you get back, you can start digging deep into that if you want.
Yep, I will.
Okay.
Article 12, I think have you had a presentation on the FEMA maps?
Yeah,
We've talked about it.
yeah, we tri-board meeting, we went
Yeah.
over.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
So, I do have the final map. I think the planning board approved the final map last
Okay.
night. So we're gonna insert that document into this, and you'll have that, be able to look at that at your next meeting.
Yeah.
It's not an option, we have to do it,
You
so.
really have to do it.
Yes.
It's not.
Jen, go ahead.
What happens if it didn't pass on some random chance? Like, what's the consequence?
Well, it could cause some headaches for folks that are in the zone that need to get insurance or need to have other things to come in line with it. But beyond that, I would have to ask our town council exactly what would happen. I don't know the exact
My
ramifications.
comments.
Yes, of course.
Laden with dire consequences. if you
Yeah.
don't vote yes.
I think it would cause some issues.
Yeah.
Specifically,
That way we can fix it.
specifically, we'd have to dive a little deeper.
All
Yeah.
right, well, I can follow up with you.
Well, I think the state federal laws and regulations would override ours anyway. If FEMA has maps and we haven't accepted them, they're still FEMA maps.
Yeah, it would cause confusion in the insurance
Right.
industry and another.
Mortgage industry,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mortgage industry looks
They
at
may,
FEMA
they may,
maps.
wait, why don't these maps?
We want to comply.
It would cause
Don't be a pain.
administrative
Don't be a
difficulties
pain.
for folks, I think.
Gotcha. Between that and the ADU verbiage. Okay.
Yes, so the ADU,
Yeah, and Nicole Riley here last to,
yes, and I'll defer to her on that.
yeah, it seemed pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So, the last three articles, Article 14, every 5 years, we're required to do a total asset valuation recertification by the Department of Revenue requires us to do that. And the estimated cost for this time is $59,000.
Is this the assessor's
Yes,
certification?
yes.
So it's gone from triennial to every 5 years now.
I will defer that to Jody.
I'm not sure what it was, but yes, it's definitely every 5 years for the recertification.
I think there was a change in that law, but.
Yeah, It must be, because it was for years,
Yeah.
forever.
So the next one, Article 15, $8,200 to fund an actuarial study, which again, we're required by law to do that.
Yep.
With the OPEB trust fund account. That's every other year. And the last one is to transfer from free cash $100,000 to the OPEB trust fund account. Again, we try to put some funds in there at least once a year. That makes our bonding agencies happy.
Usually a lower number, isn't it? Is it all-
We've done 50 in the past.
Yeah,
So, we're trying to show a little advancement on that. I can't say it'll go higher than that for a while longer after this.
Before we ask for 68 million?
Yes, yeah, fully funded will
Yeah.
require a lot more than that.
No, I understand.
But I think with what Craig said, we're gonna be going out for a big bond. And everything we do relates to the final figure that we're gonna get as in bond rating and what our final bond number will be. So when you do things like this, it really shows, it gives you a little better push to get that best bond rating, get the best rate.
Right, and we are hopeful to put a good chunk in stabilization in the spring as well, so they love to see that.
And is Millis a AA rated town?
I believe we're AA.
You know, Joe, do you have the top of your head or not? It looks like.
I know a few of the towns around here are AAA.
No, Medway just was in the paper. about
Yeah,
AAA
and some of the some of the hurdles we face is we're a little bit of a smaller community.
Yep.
And our tax base is not diversified as much.
Correct.
You know, we usually get all A's on financial operations and how we manage our budget. But the problem is really our demographics and the tax base not having enough commercial. It's hard with a town that doesn't have at least like 15% non-residential to be able to hit the AAA rating. It's just difficult.
Yeah.
The nature of the beast.
Okay.
And that is
That's
it. So happy to answer any other.
Any more questions, specific questions? Go ahead, Mark.
I have a quick question, and this is more clerical probably, so excuse my ignorance in advance. The items that we know are coming up, like Article 14, Article 15, you know, there's a known expense every X amount of years. Is there a possibility to budget for this, or do we need to create an article every few years for this?
I think we'd have to probably dissect each one of those special articles and see why we add them in there and why we don't. I suppose theoretically, we could put a couple of those items in the budget, but that would be huge swings because say the 500,000 for roads. If we one year felt because of a strong free cash number, we could afford it, and then the next we couldn't, we would see strong percentage swings in our budgets. So I think we do it for, to be able to provide a little more clarity on our budgets on an annual basis if they rise and fall. These are the things that fluctuate quite a bit. And also some of the things that we only put in every 2 to 3 or 4 years because they're not an annual, they're cyclical. I think we do that for transparency, just to show the public that, you know, this is a one-time item, that this is the 5th year, or this is the 3rd year, or things are going, you know, well this year, financially, so we're able to put money into this. And things like the 500,000 in roads, unfortunately, would be some of the first things we probably have to cut, if things were really bad. You know, but it's worth looking at. I mean, if the finance committee looks at some of these articles and sees some positive impacts of looking to roll that into the budget, we're always open to those discussions. But we try to do it in a way that it provides easiest understanding as possible for the people at town meeting if they see these swings in the budget. So
I was just curious about the Mr. So thank you.
It is part of the short answer, most of these things are discretionary,
yes.
based on whether they're needed and the budget.
Yes, they're not, most of these,
Flexibility.
some of these things are either discretionary or they're only every 3 or 5 years, so they're just not the things that, and we also look at things like we split out school costs versus general municipal costs, and we try to keep things simple from those perspectives. But yeah, we do struggle and look at those things once in a while as to whether they should be in a budget or not in a budget. We did make a change recently, like we had with police cruisers and school buses. Up until 3 or 4 years ago, those were special items in either the capital or some other budget, and now we roll them into the actual annual budget. So we have made a few changes. It just depends on an item per item basis, what makes the most sense.
That makes sense.
Go ahead, Joyce. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Mark, finish it, go ahead.
I thought they were required, that's why.
Well, the only things that, the couple things at the end are required, but like the you know, maybe the tree pruning and the road work aren't really required on a specific annual basis. Although I would say we're getting on somewhat of an emergency point with trees. Some of the things are required, like those last couple of articles, so,
Okay.
so. And those, again, since they only come up every once in a while. You know, we don't wanna keep them in a base budget every year, if we're only gonna use them every 4 years, 5 years.
Well, an example of it was last spring with the roads, was it $200 or $250,000 that was allotted for the roads? And then we decided that it would be best to put towards the tri-county expense, if I recall.
Yeah, I mean, there are, yes, exactly.
So
You
that
know, there are
was
things like that are
transparency,
somewhat
but then-
discretionary.
right.
If something comes up, we kind of know, okay, well, this item, we have a little bit of a tight fiscal year, we might have to cut back on this. So yeah, so it's certainly a legitimate question to look at these and. If this committee thinks that, you know, every once in a while you come across an item that should be based in the budget, that's a part of this discussion to say, hey, maybe it's justification to put this in the base budget. And how do we categorize it? You know, which section to put it in? Is it a generic item or a general item like debt or insurance? Or is this a municipal cost or a school cost? Those are the types of things we look at.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. We're good on the warrant. Thank you very much, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Good night,
All right, you too.
Joyce.
Take care.
Thank you, Jody.
Thanks, Jody.
Thanks, guys.
Uh,
We'll see you.
All right, have a good night. Next on the list, minute. So, yes, go ahead.
I move that the committee vote to approve the minutes from our October 1st meeting as written.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to approve the meeting minutes from October 1st of 2025. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Abstain. One abstention.
I'm abstaining too because I
Yeah.
wasn't here.
Great,
Two abstentions.
points. Yeah, 2 abstentions, Deidre. Perfect. All the new business. One question for you, Mark. Eric, Brett, and Heidi are going to the Finance Committee conference in Sharon on October 18th.
Okay.
If you would like to go, I think it would be well worth it. Jen, myself, and Kathy McGinnis went last year. Got some cool stuff there.
Yeah.
So take a look at your schedule and let's follow up and try to get you there.
Great, thank you.
Liaison updates.
Yep.
Go ahead.
The rug is now down. It was done last Thursday and Friday, so if you want to come in, we have a brand new rug down at the senior center. They're still talking transportation. Bob Weiss would be the person who you'd probably talk to, or Anne Marie, additional transportation. And they had a very nice meeting with the folks at the Glen Ellen. The Glen, one of our new board members is a resident there, so she arranged for Anne Marie to go up there today, along with Carol Maloof. And the residents there had lots of questions about what we do, and it was more of a question and answer and invite so that they're aware of that. Yes, they have their own very nice senior center there, but there are a lot of things that we do that they don't do. So it was a very nice interchange.
A couple on the COA front. So as Craig mentioned earlier, I believe he's gonna try to get the select board to come to the group.
Which is imperative.
Yeah, and also I think the school building support group
Yeah,
is looking to try to get rides over to the school or show kind of seniors what it's like going over there in terms of what's needed.
yeah.
So I don't know where that stands, but you might want to keep your eyes and ears open.
Yeah,
for
I'll
that.
keep my eye, and I think that's important if we could get the folks up at the Glen to get the same kind of,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Because the
absolutely.
more we get this out, because there's still, I mean, as much as it's been advertised, talked about, we think that it's been beaten into people's heads to know about the school. There's people who still don't know.
Yeah, you still gotta educate. All good?
Good.
All good. Eric, anything?
No, nothing new for the CPC.
Okay, sweet.
Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
And probably second, all those in favor, please support. Please say aye.
Aye.
Heidi, thank you for joining us. I know it's almost 3 a.m. where you are, so you don't even go to bed. Just get up and grab a coffee and go.
Deal.
We'll see you
Sounds
next
good.
week.
Have
Bye,
a good
everybody.
night, everyone.
All right, thanks,
night.
Adrian.
You're welcome.